In a country where even the wife of the supreme leader can vanish without a trace, what chance do ordinary citizens have? Tonight you'll hear from Park Chol-min, a former elite bodyguard who protected Ri Sol-ju, Kim Jong-un's wife, until she disappeared in March 2023. His testimony reveals that in North Korea's regime, no one is safe, not even those at the very top. When he realized his own family was next, he made an impossible choice: escape with his 2 young children across frozen rivers, or wait to disappear like everyone else around him.
Freedom? Security? Which matters more to you?
It was March 2023, and that night will stay with me for the rest of my life. Around 11 p.m., the phone at home started ringing like crazy. It was an emergency call from the Guard Command, the elite unit that protects North Korea's top leadership. A lockdown was ordered over all of Pyongyang, and tight security went up all the way to the border. Then one line came through the radio and froze every muscle in my body. Find Comrade Ri Sol-ju. Immediately. In that moment, it felt like my life was over. Ri Sol-ju? This wasn't some routine incident. This was nuclear. Instinct kicked in. I threw on my clothes with shaking hands and glanced at my wife. She'd woken up, eyes full of fear. "Honey, what's going on?" There was no way to answer. I opened the kids' bedroom door instead. My 8-year-old son, Junhyuk, and 5-year-old daughter, Eunbyul, were fast asleep, faces calm and peaceful. What's going to happen to these kids? My chest felt like it was caving in. When I reached the Guard Command compound, dozens of bodyguards were already gathered. Every face looked drained. We all knew anything involving Comrade Ri Sol-ju, the wife of the supreme leader, was directly tied to our own lives. Company Commander Kong Chol-ho spoke in a cold voice. "Who saw Comrade Ri Sol-ju most recently? All guards assigned to her detail, report now." There was a sharp edge of menace in his tone. We were called into the interrogation room one by one. No one came back out. No one knew where they were being taken. As my turn got closer, my hands and feet started to shake. My mind went back to that day 6 months earlier, in August, when I had walked alone with Comrade Ri Sol-ju in the garden. The words she said then still echo in my ears. "Comrade Chol-min, everyone who has been close to me is now in danger." It was past 3 in the morning when a temporary release order finally came down. "Go home for now. We'll call you back." The meaning was clear. This was my last chance. On the way home, crossing the Taedong River Bridge, I glanced up at the dark Pyongyang sky. I had been born and raised in this city for 38 years. Those years flashed before me like scenes in an old film. But in truth, everything had already been set in motion long before that night. It began 3 years earlier, when I became part of Comrade Ri Sol-ju's security detail in the spring of 2020. Back then, I had no idea how dangerous that honor would turn out to be. I was just proud to protect the wife of the nation's highest leader. Back then, I was painfully naive. I remember that warm spring day in April 2020. A political officer from the Guard Command called me in. "Comrade Park Chol-min, congratulations. You've been selected." He handed me my new assignment order. It said, "Assigned to Comrade Ri Sol-ju's security team." My heart felt like it might explode. Protecting the mother of the Republic? What could be more honorable? I ran home to tell my family. My father didn't say much. He just gripped my shoulder hard. He was a retired colonel in the Korean People's Army. You could feel the strength in that old soldier's hand. R. Chol-min guarding the wife of the supreme leader. His eyes filled with tears. He had lived his entire life for the state, born right after the Korean War, serving in the military for decades. Seeing that old man moved like that by his son's assignment brought a sting to my own eyes. My mother hurried into the kitchen. A day like this calls for something special. That evening, she served Pyongyang cold noodles. She'd been working on the broth since early morning, and a deep, savory smell filled the house. There was hot soup, kimchi, and side dishes our poor family rarely saw on the table. I hope everything goes well for you, my son. Her words made my throat tighten. Seeing my parents so happy over my assignment made me even more determined to succeed. My wife, Myung-hee, smiled wide. You did it. The kids are going to be so proud of their dad. 8-year-old Junhyuk clung to my leg. Dad, is this really a big deal? 5-year-old Eunbyul clapped her little hands and giggled. Knowing I could be a father they would be proud of filled me with joy. Listen, Junhyuk, your dad is going to protect the most important person in the country. When you grow up, you'll live in a better world than this. When I said that, I meant every word. After dinner, my wife and I took a walk along the Taedong River. The April breeze felt clean and cool. On the far side of the water, the Juche Tower rose against the sky, and spring flowers were blooming along the path. Myung-hee, things will get better for us now. We'll be able to send Junhyuk to a good university. Maybe Eunbyul can learn dance or something she loves. She squeezed my hand. I trust you. Under the Pyongyang night sky, we were happy. Training started the very next day. We memorized every detail of Comrade Ri Sol-ju's schedule, her routes, and all protocols. I worked hard to master every rule. No mistakes. I have to guard this honor. Every night I repeated that promise to myself, thinking about my parents' hopes, my wife's belief in me, and my children's future pushed me to try even harder. Back then, I had no idea. I didn't understand how dangerous it is to stand that close to the center of power. I didn't know that, in barely a year, everything would begin to change. It was the fall of 2021 when something first felt off. There was a party meeting that day. Comrade Ri Sol-ju was supposed to attend. In 3 years on her detail, she had never missed such an event. Standing at the entrance to the hall, I felt a chill. Is she sick? But that morning, she had looked fine, healthy, composed. Something wasn't right. In her usual seat beside the Supreme Leader sat Comrade Kim Yo-jong instead. She was the leader's sister, now taking the place that had always belonged to his wife. Her face was firm, cold, and resolute. When the meeting ended, she walked down the corridor past us and gave a faint smile. That smile made my skin crawl. It looked like the smile of someone who had just claimed a prize. That evening, I returned to Comrade Ri Sol-ju's residence. In the hallway, I happened to see her. She stood by a window, staring outside. Her back looked strangely lonely. I started to greet her, but then saw her wipe at her eyes. She was brushing away tears. A bodyguard doesn't ask questions. I had to walk on. At home that night, I went to my father. Father, something feels strange in Pyongyang these days. He lit a cigarette and stayed silent for a long time before answering. Power is always like that, son. The higher you go, the harsher the wind. Be careful. There was real worry in his voice. He had spent his life inside the system. He knew what power could do. A few days later, something even stranger happened. Nurse Jo Myung-suk, who had cared for Comrade Ri Sol-ju for many years, approached me. Comrade Chol-min, can we talk? She pulled me into a quiet corner of the corridor and lowered her voice. Be careful. Things aren't right these days. They're reviewing the list of all guards. What do you mean? Just watch yourself, especially if you have a family. Fear was written all over her face. She had worked at Ri Sol-ju's side for more than 10 years. Seeing someone like that so shaken made my own unease grow. Comrade Joe, what's really going? Shish, I can't talk here. Just be careful. She hurried away. On the way home, crossing the Taedong River again, I kept asking myself if I was being paranoid. Maybe I'm overthinking this, but no matter how I tried to rationalize, something was wrong. The image of the sister-in-law, Kim Yo-jong, taking the daughter-in-law's seat at the leader's side kept coming back. An old saying my mother used to repeat came to mind. When there's no mother-in-law, the husband's sister takes over and throws her weight around. Back then it sounded like just an old wives' tale. I never imagined I'd see a version of it playing out at the very top of the regime. That night, sleep wouldn't come. Lying beside my wife and children, a question pressed in. What am I really doing? That job I had once called an honor, maybe it was putting my whole family at risk. For the first time, that thought really took shape. That winter, Nurse Jo Myung-suk disappeared. One day she was just gone. No explanation, no discussion, no one dared to ask. Even the question itself could be dangerous. The new year of 2022 came, but the mood stayed dark. It had been a month since Nurse Jo vanished. No one spoke her name. They couldn't. Soon after, the chef who had cooked for Comrade Ri Sol-ju for years was replaced. Officially, it was for personal reasons. But everyone understood what that phrase meant in our world. From February on, Comrade Ri Sol-ju disappeared from public view. No party events, no public appearances, no meetings, only rumors. They say her health is poor. But I knew that was a lie. Inside the residence, she looked healthy. She simply wasn't allowed out. It was like watching someone locked in an invisible prison. Meanwhile, Kim Yo-jong appeared more and more often. On TV, in the newspapers, at public ceremonies, always at the supreme leader's side. Party officials bowed a little deeper in her presence. Everyone knew which way the wind was blowing. Old stories from the Joseon dynasty crossed my mind, tales of queens and dowagers fighting for influence at court. I had never imagined something so similar could be happening in the 21st century, in the heart of our regime. One day in March, Company Commander Kong called me in. "Comrade Park, how are things?" "I'm fine, Comrade Company Commander. How's your family?" It was strange to hear him ask about my family. "They're healthy." "Good. When you have a family, you must be careful. The party's instructions require absolute obedience." "Understood?" "Yes, I understand." His eyes were like ice. The message was clear. "You're being watched too." That night at home, my wife was preparing dinner. "You look terrible lately. Is something wrong?" There was no way to tell her the truth. "How do you say, my job might get us all killed?" "It's nothing. Just tired." Another lie. 8-year-old Junhyuk ran up and grabbed my leg. "Dad, I got praised at school today." 5-year-old Unbyul danced around us, full of life. Seeing their smiles, tears almost came. By May, things shifted again. Guard shifts were suddenly changed. Our hours and rotations were scrambled. Why the sudden change? No one dared ask. Later, I learned that people loyal to Kim Yo-jong had started going in and out of the residence. They were there to watch Comrade Ri Sol-ju, not to protect her. It hit me then. This wasn't about health. Someone was trying to erase her. Night after night, nightmares came. Nurse Jo appeared in my dreams, calling my name. "Comrade Chol-min, be careful." I would jolt awake, soaked in sweat. My wife and children slept next to me, unaware. Can I protect them? My parents' faces came to mind, my father nearing 80, my mother close behind him. If something happens to me, what happens to them? Then, after 6 months of silence, Comrade Ri Sol-ju appeared again. She was no longer the same woman. It was a late summer day in August 2022. Comrade Ri Sol-ju asked to see me. "Comrade Chol-min, would you walk with me in the garden?" For a bodyguard, being addressed like that personally, by name, was unheard of. I bowed. "Yes, mother." We stepped out into the back garden of the residence. Other guards stayed far behind, keeping us within sight but out of earshot. A warm breeze drifted in from the Taedong River. In the garden beds grew flowers she had planted herself. "These flowers are pretty, aren't they?" she said quietly. "I planted them. Ju-ae likes them." She meant Kim Ju-ae, the daughter of the supreme leader. "Yes, they're beautiful," I answered. Then she turned to look at me. Her eyes were red. "Comrade Chol-min, you have a daughter too, don't you?" "Yes, my daughter, Unbyul, is 5. "Then you understand. You know how it feels when a parent can't protect their child." Her voice shook. In that moment, she wasn't the wife of the supreme leader. She was just a mother. "Mother," I started to say something, but she took my hand. Her hand felt cold. "Comrade, I need to ask you something." I may not be able to protect my daughter. I may disappear first. The words hit like ice water. What are you saying? But she shook her head. It's already begun. People around me are disappearing, one by one. You know it. You've seen it. She was right. Nurse Joe was gone. The chef was gone. Other close aides had vanished. Everyone understood what that meant. It was only a matter of time. But you're the wife of the supreme leader, I said. What does that matter? She let out a sad, bitter smile. In this place, there is no blood and no tears. In front of power, even family disappears. She turned back to the flowers. I remember when Ju-A was born. I've never been so happy. I wanted her to live a free life. No politics, no power, just normal. That was every parent's dream. I felt the same about my own daughter. That she could grow up happy and free. Comrade Chol Min. She looked at me again. If I disappear, then at least protect your own family. This place is no longer safe. Everyone who has been close to me is now in danger. You must be careful. A chill ran down my spine. She wasn't only worried about her own child. She was worried about mine too. Tears threatened, but I forced them back. Mother, what can I do to help you? You don't need to do anything. Just keep your family safe. That is all I ask. She patted my shoulder lightly. Thank you, Comrade Chol Min. It helped to have someone like you by my side. The whole conversation lasted maybe 15 minutes. But those 15 minutes changed my life. After that day, she vanished again. September passed. October. November. Another 6 months slipped away. Every night, the nightmares returned. In my dreams, Comrade Risol Ju, Little Ju-A, and my entire family vanished one after another. And then came March 2023. The night the phone rang. It was March 2023, close to 11 p.m., when the phone jolted me awake. Comrade Park Chol Min, report immediately. The voice on the line sounded like a scream. Comrade Risol Ju is missing. Find her. My heart stopped. It's happened. My mind went blank. My hands shook as I pulled on my clothes. My wife woke up, startled. Honey, what's wrong? There were no words. I went to the kids' room again. 8-year-old Junhyuk and 5-year-old Unbyul were sleeping soundly. I brushed my fingers over Unbyul's soft cheek. What's going to happen to them? Tears threatened. I have to go for work. I managed to tell my wife. The guard command compound was chaos. All bodyguards were called in. State security agents were there too. Pyongyang is under lockdown, someone said. The borders are on high alert. Company Commander Kang's face was twisted with rage. Who saw Comrade Risol Ju last? He shouted. There was real violence in his eyes. They took us in one by one. No one came back. Comrade Choi, Comrade Park, Comrade Kim, everyone disappeared into that room. Those of us still in the hallway just stared at each other. Every face was pale. This is it. I remembered when Jang Song-thak was purged years earlier. Everyone even loosely connected to him had been wiped out. This felt the same. Then my name was called. Inside the interrogation room, Company Commander Kong sat with 2 state security officers. Sit. A bright light hit my face as I sat down. Comrade Park, you spoke with Comrade Risol Ju in private, didn't you? No, I did not. Don't lie. What did you hear in the garden last August? My whole body went cold. They knew. They had been watching, listening, recording every word of that walk in the garden. You have a family, don't you? One of them said. You'd better think about your wife and kids and answer carefully. It was a threat, and everyone in that room knew it. Images of my children flashed through my mind. Unbyul, Junhyuk, then my parents. I don't know anything, I insisted. An hour passed, then 2, then 3. The same questions over and over. Where did she go? Did you help her defect? Who have you been in contact with? I denied everything. A little after 3 a.m., they let me go. Go home for now. We'll call you again. I knew what that meant. Next time, I wouldn't come home. Crossing the Taedong River again that night, I stared at the city lights. I had spent 38 years in that city. This might be the last time I ever see it. At 4 in the morning, I reached home. My wife was wide awake, waiting. Honey, what happened? What's wrong with your face? My voice shook. Myung-hee, we might have to leave. What? What are you talking about? There's no time to explain. Don't wake the kids. Pack only what we really need, some clothes, any money we have. Her face went white. She didn't argue. She just started packing. We went to my parents' house. My father opened the door. Chol-min, what are you doing here at this hour? Father, I have to go. He looked into my eyes for just a second. Then he understood. I see. Then you must go. My mother came out. Chol-min, what is? I'm sorry, Mother. I'll come back. I promise I'll see you again. I hugged her tight. I can still remember her scent. I will carry it with me until I die. My son. She sobbed into my shoulder. Around 5 a.m., we left Pyongyang. Our children were still half asleep as we carried them. We had one small bag. When I looked back, the city lights of Pyongyang were fading behind us. Like Comrade Ri Sol-ju, I chose to disappear. To the north meant death. To the south, maybe there was still a chance at life. The trip from Pyongyang to Haizen, near the Chinese border, took 3 days by train. To get through checkpoints, we used fake IDs obtained through a broker. On the train, my son whispered, Dad, where are we going? To a better place, I said. But you have to stay quiet. He nodded. 5-year-old Eun-byul slept in my arms. She had no idea how deadly this journey was. In Haizen, we hid for a week in the home of an ethnic Korean family from China. You're trying to go south, aren't you? The man asked. Yes, it's a hard road, especially with kids. I already knew that, but there was no way back. If we stay, we all die, I said. He nodded slowly. Then I'll help you. On the last night of March, it was time to cross the Tumen River into China. Spring had arrived on the calendar, but the water was still icy. At around 11 p.m., we headed down to the riverbank. The broker gave us final instructions. If you see lights over there, drop flat. That's the patrol. Not a sound, understand? I hoisted Eun-byul onto my back. My wife held onto Junhyuk's hand. Stay close to me, son. And don't make a sound. His small hand trembled in mine. The moment my feet hit the water, the cold cut straight through my bones. But there was no turning back. 1 step, 2 steps. On my back, Eun-byul whispered, Dad. Chish, sweetheart, just a little more. About halfway across, a beam of light swept over the river in the distance. A border patrol. Down, the broker hissed. We flattened ourselves in the freezing current. The kids shook as they fought back their sobs. I looked up at the night sky. Mother, Father, please watch over us. The lights moved on. We got up and pushed forward again. When we finally stepped onto Chinese soil, my legs gave out. I collapsed there on the riverbank. So did my wife. So did the kids. We had survived, but it was only the beginning. The next 2 months in China were another kind of hell. We had no legal status. If the Chinese police caught us, we'd be sent back to North Korea. I washed dishes at a Korean Chinese restaurant. My wife cleaned houses. The kids weren't allowed to leave the tiny room where we stayed. One day, we met a South Korean missionary. You want to go to South Korea? He asked. Yes, please help us. Then we'll have to go through Laos. It's dangerous, but it's the only route. And so the journey continued. We hid in the back of trucks. We walked for hours and days. It took more than a month. In the forests of Laos, we nearly lost everything. Eun-byul came down with a fever. We had no medicine. My wife broke down. She's burning up. If we keep going, she'll make it, I said. Once we reach the embassy, we can get her to a hospital. Finally, we arrived at the gate of the South Korean embassy. My knees buckled. Please, I begged. Please open the door. The gate opened, and an official stepped out. Are you citizens of the Republic of Korea? He asked. No, I said, but we want to be. He brought us inside. In that moment, I knew we were truly alive. In May 2023, we finally set foot in South Korea. I'll never forget the first moment at Incheon International Airport. "Welcome to the Republic of Korea," the staff member said. Those words dropped me to my knees. Thank you so much." Tears streamed down my face. The kids cried too. My wife gripped my hand as if she would never let it go. We had survived. We had found freedom. We spent 3 months at Hanawon, the government facility where defectors learn how to live in the South. We studied South Korean society and took job training. There were many other defectors there. Talking with them, I realized something. We all carried similar scars. One day, someone asked me, "What happened to Ri Sol-ju? I heard you were one of her guards." I shook my head. "I don't know," I said. "I just hope she's alive. I hope her daughter, Ju-ae, is safe too." Life in the South was one shock after another. Convenience stores glowed with light at midnight. You could walk in anytime and buy what you needed. I went online to look up North Korean news. There was no mention of Ri Sol-ju. The first time we went to a big supermarket, I could hardly believe my eyes. Shelves packed with products, rice, meat, fruit, snacks, more food than I had ever seen in one place. "Myung-hee, is this all real?" Her eyes were wide. "We could never even dream of this back home," she said. Even the way people talked sounded different. It wasn't "I did this" in stiff formal speech. It was "I did it" in a softer, more casual tone. The food was sweeter too. There was sugar in almost everything. Still, it was our culture. People wrote in Korean. They ate kimchi. They kept the same holidays. After all, we really are one people, I realized. We found a small apartment in Gyeonggi Province, not far from Seoul. I got a job in a factory. My wife began studying to become a nursing assistant. Junhyuk adjusted quickly at his new elementary school. Eun-byul picked up the South Korean accent in no time. "Dad, I'm a Korean kid now." "A South Korean," she said, laughing. "That's right," I told her. "You're free now." But on holidays, the ache in my chest grew heavy. I would open the window and look north. Far beyond the horizon, my parents were still there. "Mother, Father, your son is alive and doing well," I would whisper. "I'm sorry I came here first." Tears would follow. My wife would bow next to me. "Father-in-law, mother-in-law, please stay healthy," she would say. I kept checking the internet for news on North Korea. There was still nothing about Comrade Ri Sol-ju. Was she alive? Was little Ju-ae safe? I couldn't forget what she had told me in the garden. "Protect your family. That's all I ask." "Mother, I did what you asked. I protected my family. I pray that you and your daughter have somehow survived too." Living here in the South, one thing became very clear. Freedom is priceless. To say what you think without fear. To travel where you want. To criticize the government without being dragged away. To walk down a lit street at night and feel safe. This is what it means to live as a human being, I think to myself every day. Right now, I live in freedom. But my parents are still in the North. 20 million North Koreans still suffer there. It's been more than 70 years since the Korean War ended. Our parents' generation, our own generation, we've all lived with division. I want something better for our children. I want them to live on a united peninsula. One day, I will see my parents again. Comrade Ri Sol-ju, Comrade Ju-ae, wherever you are, I hope you are safe. And to those of you listening here in the South, I want to say this. Please don't take your freedom for granted. Don't forget how precious it is to live with your family, without fear. May we see reunification in our lifetime. Thank you.